Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and talking about that for this week, at least, we have dropped about 10% from opening price on Monday. On Monday, we opened at about $57,400, and we are currently at $51,700, bringing us ever closer to the 20-week moving average. And although what where the price is right now doesn't signify, anything significant, for lack of a better word, um, uh, w- essentially because where the price is now, we know definitively that X is going to happen. We simply don't know. But what I always try to do and try to remind everyone is to check your bounds. If you're lost in a forest, it's good to check for landmarks. It's good for check to check your boundaries, to know where you are when hiking in a forest. Um, and here we are, and the 20-week moving average is much like our compass. It is what signifies the start of a bull market when we're above the 20-week moving average. If we make contact with the moving average and we bounce off of it, that indicates like a continuation of the bull market. If we break below the 20-week moving average, then that can indicate um, further downside pressures, etc. And with that said, we are currently about 52% above the 20-week moving average. We have not been this close to the 20-week moving average since December of 2020, when we were about 43% above the 20-week moving average. So now, obviously, this number here for this week is going to fluctuate because it's Thursday. The week isn't over yet. It won't be over for another 3 days. So, or 4 days if you count today. So keep that in mind. And again, this doesn't signify anything. It's just important to check your boundaries because, say, for example, Bitcoin decides to drop, 30% from the top for the next couple of weeks. Say next week we're back down at like 47,000, and then onwards to 30,000 the week after, and we're at $41,000. Well, that brings us to about that brings us to about 11% above the 20-week moving average, if the moving average were to stay at at its current level. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. The moving average will continue to rise despite of what short term movements Bitcoin is doing, because it's calculating the last 20 weeks, and right now it's increasing at about $2,000 per week. So by next week we're looking at about a price of about $38,000 or $37,000, and so on and so forth. In 2 weeks, we might be reaching $40,000 20-week moving average. So keep that in mind. If we are at $40,000 level in 2 weeks time, maybe just under, maybe at like $39,000, at the current price, we're about oh wait, sorry, let me do it. Yeah, we're about 32% above the 20-week moving average. And say, I'm doing a lot of price changes here, but say at this point from the top, so $61,000, and we dropped 30%. Okay, and Bitcoin, and the moving average is at what we saw calculate at about $39,000 in 2 weeks. Well, again, that brings us to 10% above the 20-week moving average. So you can see um uh how things can change fairly quickly if you're not, constantly looking at it. I mean, even at this price, uh at $51,700, uh in a span of 2 weeks time, if we were to get back to about a 30% drop, we're already we have about 17% left to do a 30% correction, which would bring us fairly close to the 20-week moving average. So again, not that far off. It's not crazy to consider that. And I don't think a lot of people are treating it as crazy. There are a number of people that think that Bitcoin will rally again, which is entirely possible, and I think is a highly probable case that it could rally from here, could come back to the 20-week and then rally. It could even break the 20-week moving average, and we'll have a pretty a nasty correction until before the next run up. Like all those are entirely possible, but I don't want people to uh, uh, get so pigeonholed into the idea that Bitcoin will just continue on forever. We have been we have been blessed, almost to a fault, uh, to experience the last bounce of the 20-week moving average. We have moved up 500% to the top, and roughly 400% to the current price right now from the bounce of the 20-week. Okay, which happened in September, no, October. So we haven't experienced a fairly large correction to the 20-week in quite some time, and that is always on the table. So let's flip it to the 20-day, and let's look at it now. So we've broken the 20-day moving average. I talked about this yesterday that when I was recording it, we were above the 20-day moving average, and I said, look, like if we're able to rally to continue the rally, it's quite possible that we'll see a new all-time high with Bitcoin because every single for the last two times when Bitcoin broke down the 20-day and then recovered from we created a new high, a new all-time high because we're at the precipice of it. So from in February, we rallied to $57,000, and the last attempt brought us to $61,000. Now, this concept is still not off the table. Bitcoin can easily rally again back above the 20-day moving average, but right now, with the price going down, that 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 idea is not currently possible. If this is a sustained correction, then it's definitely not possible, at least in the short term. But anything can happen in the short term. Um, so let's say this is a sustained, like this drop is going to continue. Um, where would we see the next? Like, what is the next target? Well, the next target it would be the last local low, which is about $45,000, and in 2 weeks' time, that would bring us about $5,000 above the 20-week moving average. Which is roughly 13% above the 20-week moving average in 2 weeks if we got back down to that level. If it breaks that, then I'm not too sure where the 50-day moving average is, but a lot of people tend to use the 50-day moving average as also a target. And oh, what a coincidence. We're actually right there on the 50 days. So keep that in mind. If we break further down, then obviously I think then $45,000 is the target to meet. But we will see. The 50-day moving average was shown as support here, back in January, February. So we'll see in due time if this is going to hold. Um, I won't I won't try to speculate what will happen in the short term, but things to note. I mean, we're coming to the end of March, and I am planning to do a recap of March, especially for altcoins, because I was very vocal, and you could say I was wrong, but I mean some altcoins did very well, but I argued I shouted to the mountaintops that March was going to be a very good month for altcoins, um, and you could argue either side. I mean, coins like Ethereum did very poorly in the month of March. We didn't do much. We were down 1.24%, and in the U.S. dollar terms, we only moved up 13.5%. Uh, being farly outpaced by being outpaced by Bitcoin in the month of March currently. That can change in the next week or so, but we had altcoins like VeChain that had done considerably well. We have, basic attention token that did considerably well in the month of March. But Um, Getting back to the topic on Bitcoin, we are coming to the end of March, and focusing on Bitcoin alone, that will finally give us a marker, a close on the RSI on the monthly. And currently, right now, we're 90.48. And we talked about this a lot, that the 96 RSI level is usually a top, either a macro top, like what we see here and here here in dollar terms, or it is a local top before the next run up. So like what we saw here in 2013, and also what we saw here in August of 2017. We saw the top, we saw a dip uh, for the month of September. Now it was only an 8.62% dip, but it wicked down fairly hard, almost erasing all the gains of the previous month. But then we rallied again for another 3 months, bringing the RSI back to 96 and bringing the price to $20,000. So keep that in mind. Um, with the end of March brings a close to the RSI, and then we can look towards April to see where if Bitcoin rallies again further up, then the RSI is going to go up. And if we get to a point of 90 of the mid 90s, then if you think I've been talking ad absurdum about the RSI on the monthly, get ready for that, because I will not stop talking about the RSI on the monthly chart at if it reaches a mid 90s. That will indicate either a macro top or a local top, and I would more so argue that it'd be a local top. I feel like there's this bull run can last for years, and here we are only in like in it for a year. It's only been a year if we measure from the March capitulation. We've only been in this market for bull market for a year, so I would argue that this is going to take a little longer, which makes me believe that it'll be a more of a local top, kind of like what we saw in 2013, maybe not so much in 2017, where you see a clear drop in the RSI and you see a clear drop in the price before it reverses and continues on forward. So um, if Bitcoin is able to sustain itself around this level, whether between $45,000 and $60,000, big range, I know, but if we're able to hold this, then by the end of March, then we can reassess and see where we are, get our bearings, much like how we are hiking in a forest, get our bearings and try to assess what's next for Bitcoin. Are we able to sustain a high, like a low 90s RSI for the rest of March, or are we gonna drop? But that's pretty much it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care